I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, February the 20th, brought to you in part by Cargill Vigor Tone. Part of being in the cattle business is dealing with things that are out of your control. It comes with the job. But when you feed Vigor Tone mineral, there's one thing you can always count on. Peace of mind knowing your cattle are getting the nutrition that they need when they need it. Learn more at vigortone.com. Sudden spark in the cattle business on Tuesday there. The board began the week, which normally it always begins the week kind of on a dud, but Monday we had President's Day, so the board was closed, and then come out on Tuesday with a big spark and kind of getting everybody a little bit excited. We know that we're going to gain some ground here in the fat cattle arena over the next few weeks. It may not end up being as high, it may not stretch its legs as much as we thought because we kind of stumbled coming out of the gate onto this rally here, but we're pretty excited about the way that the board reacted on Tuesday, and it kind of trickles down into some of the cash markets. But let's look at the board on Tuesday. February live cattle futures up $1.25 at 127.87. April was up 127 at 128.45. Your out fronts were not nearly that much higher, but did see some gains. March feeder cattle up $1.15 at 143.75. April up 77 cents at 146 even, and May ended at 147 even. So it's funny how those feeder contracts kind of always end on a quarter or on even money there. But something that the industry is kind of looking at is a chart that came out there last week that USDA put out, and it was all about out front sales of beef, 90 days plus out front, and that's getting well into our summer grilling season. But look at the spike on there, and that line that's going straight up there on the left part of the chart, that's your 2019 out front beef sales. You saw that in 2017 we saw a late summer spike on there. In 2018 we saw a late March, early April spike. But in 2019, it was last week, and I mean gigantic jump there in the amount of out front beef sales. That's contract sales of beef products, and they were a lot higher prices too. Mostly charged by the rib and the loin, your steak products, most expensive cuts of meat. But those are orders that your packers are going to have to fill. That means they're going to stay aggressive. They're going to get their cutout values to raise. Their margins are going to get even larger than they have been. And they may be willing to give up just a sliver of that to your cattle producers, which is about the only thing we can really hope for. But we'll see if we can't get as much of that as we can force over the next month and a half probably. But your fat cattle trade has not developed, of course, this early in the week. We did see a few more sales. We saw some on Monday, but I saw a few more sales in Iowa at $2 dressed. Okay, alert here, guys. It's going to be higher this week. It's going to be higher this week. If they don't get too greedy and forget their place in the pecking order, cattle feeders can gain $2 or $3 this week and maybe $2 or $3 next week, and then keep adding on to that and get us up into the mid 130s here before we run into another stumbling block and start coming back down. But it's definitely going to be higher this week. You look at a cattle auction where fat cattle are sold, probably I've mentioned the hottest finished cattle auction in the nation right now is at Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota. That 2,200 head, you see this that come right off their website for Tuesday's sale. And on the steers, the fat steers there, they sold mostly from 125 to 131 and a quarter. And you see, it's not just little deals, one or two head here or there. No, it's load lots of them and big pens of cattle that are selling there. And that's the best way a lot of those producers up there can find to get their market for their cattle. They're way up there, and it's hard for them to find somebody to bid them an honest price in the country, negotiated or in their feedlot. So they're going to the auction. You see it's paying off for them. I realize there's some strength there to those cattle, but still, that's a good way to market your cattle in an auction, and we know that on feeder cattle, but it still works for fat cattle and occasions there. But let's look at your feeder cattle market to get to the mid part of the week. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 141.05. That was down 50 cents and just a lot of pressure here. There's another big storm that keeps moving across. We've just seems like we cannot get through this winter and don't even get breaks very much up in the upper Midwest. Another big snowstorm moving across up there, kind of miserable in the southern plains too. With cold, bitter cold temperatures and some snow here and there, and then you get down to southeast there, we're dealing with a lot of cold rain and this and that, but just been kind of a nasty old winter, and we can't seem to get through it, and we don't even see a light at the end of the tunnel yet. But look at some markets on Tuesday there. OKC West had their calf sale on Tuesday, just 2,000 head, not a big run there. The same reasons, just the weather, and it kind of stunted the calf market even. And we've been talking the last several times how hot this calf market's been, but at El Reno on Tuesday, your calves sold kind of steady to $3 lower, and it had a lot to do with the cold front that was coming across. Guys couldn't get excited about buying them, and then they had the lighter run. They couldn't get big strings of them put together, so they just kind of laid back on them. West Plains, Missouri's Ozarks Regional Stockyards, 3,000 head over there. Their market was unevenly steady to $3 higher, so not too bad. Look at some individual quotes. Kingsville, Missouri, Kingsville Livestock Auction sold 72 head of steers, weighed 696, or might as well say 700 pounds, at 160.10. Pretty impressive there. Winter Live in La Junta, Colorado had a heck of a good sale on a string of light six weights. They were likely stocker type cattle there. 152 head, 614 pound steers bring 175.50. But the one that blows them all away, and I tell you, they're resurrecting that sale there at Alma, Nebraska. But the Kalk brothers there, Terry Kalk, he runs that sale it's a producer-owned sale, and he runs that sale probably to sell his own cattle, him and his brother's cattle there as much as anything else, but he can sell them in there. But at Alma, Nebraska on Tuesday, 207 head of steers weighed 818 and 149.25. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.